Deportation nation. That's what we're in. The battle of Mr. Garcia and what is going on. Because quite frankly, I'm always confused about all this stuff. And it's not about, and I want everybody to understand, this is not about whether he is or isn't, should or shouldn't be. There's a bigger thing here. And we've got to recognize that. The Constitution, the due process, all that kind of stuff. Even if everybody thinks, well, because you give him due process, you're going to keep it. No, it's not about that. It's about cutting once. Oh, darn, now I got to measure again. Cut again. No, it's about measuring twice, 3 times, cutting once, and getting it right as well.
On TV, administration officials have made stark claims.
He's part of a foreign terrorist organization, trafficking in his background.
We will not apologize for getting these monsters the hell out of our country.
But the evidence in court is scant. His family calls Kilmar Abrego Garcia a hard-working sheet metal apprentice. In 2019, an immigration judge protected him from being sent back to El Salvador, a move that allowed him to legally work. The federal judge who's now ordered that the government facilitate his return calls the allegations of gang membership vague and uncorroborated. Stephen Portnoy, ABC News, Washington.
And that's what I want. I want straightforward honesty in all of this stuff. I'm not looking for, I don't want a game. Tell me exactly what he did, why you're get him out of here. Fine. The big thing about this, and it's funny, I did a video. You guys can check out, I do videos every single night, right around 8 o'clock Eastern, 7 o'clock here. But some people are like, well, he's an American citizen. What'd you say?
I set my watch by those videos now.
Not.
Because if you'll go back and you'll look at your Instagram videos.
You do, actually.
I like your videos.
Bell likes my videos. He's not out doing nefarious things. The sports ball, by the way, somebody just texted Bell. Bell knows anything about sports. He goes, go sports ball team, Bell. Getting this guy, I don't know if he did or didn't do something. It's not the point. The point is there was an order from the court. And this is when people start screaming, constitutional crisis, this, that, and the other. What happens if he decides he doesn't want to listen to to SCOTUS, which I don't think is going to happen. And SCOTUS was trying to figure stuff out here. They kind of jacked the pooch, as I like to say, screwed up here. They were kind of vague in the way that they approached all of this thing with him about, like, well, you got to kind of try to get him back.
Well, first of all, the court did not do a particularly good job, the Supreme Court. In order to get to be 9-0, they had to compromise all over the place. So they said basically, look, the authority lies with the foreign policy of the United States. Court shouldn't interfere with that. If he's going to come back, you should facilitate it, but we're not going to have any deadlines. So the Trump administration, stretching the opinion in its favor, says, well, they didn't give us a deadline, and they didn't order him to be brought back. They said, facilitate it. He should be brought back. He should be given a hearing quickly on the issue of whether he has a legitimate claim of sanctuary, and then he should be sent back because he's not a U.S. citizen. Once you're not a U.S. citizen and you're here illegally, your rights are very, very constrained. This is not like the Khalil case where it's a green card. It's not even a student visa. Right. He may have a visa, but the question is, if he came illegally in the beginning, he has no right to stay here, except subject to the humanitarian claim that if he's sent back, the gangs are going to kill him. That's his claim.
Or whatever the claim. He said it was political. But either way, and somebody said, well, he had an order to be removed. Yes, he did. That was not in dispute. The order to be removed was never in dispute. The order, though, was specifically anywhere but El Salvador, and you sent him to the one place you weren't supposed to, and a judge you overrode. That is the issue here. There's no doubt, like, he shouldn't have been here. He has to go. The question is, are you going to listen and pay attention to what is happening, or is it going to be slap hazard? And don't tell me you're going in there and you're like, he's all of these things, and he's not. That's the other thing that frustrates me, right? I want transparency. It's the thing that used to frustrate me all the time with a lot of the stuff. Even when, remember the stolen election, they would argue in front of the camera all this stuff, but then they would go into the courtroom, and none of it was what they were saying outside. Be transparent. That's great. But do the right thing the right way. You don't have these issues.
This is a very simple case. If not for the fact that a judge had stayed his deportation on the ground that he had pending a claim of asylum. A claim of asylum, very simple. You can deport without any further due process anybody who's in the country illegally. This guy is in the country illegally. And if he didn't have a court order that said, wait a minute, you're here illegally, but you've made an application to stay here even though you're here illegally in order to avoid being sent back to El Salvador because you think you'll be killed in El Salvador. It's only that court order, technically, which is the mistake. And it is a mistake because they did violate a court order. But once he's given his asylum claim, and if that's denied, he can easily be deported because he's an illegal alien. It doesn't matter whether he's committed crimes or anything else. You have no right to stay in the country if you came into the country illegally.
It's that simple. There it is. But it goes back to this, and I say this over and over again. It is not about the whether he should or shouldn't be. You went over a court order and you sent him to the place that the court said you shouldn't send him. People say, well, if he's a gang member, no wonder he's worried. They're not arguing he's a gang. Some places are saying he's arguing he's a gang member. His was political. So either way, I'm just saying, measure twice, cut once. It's that simple. There you go. It shouldn't be this hard. There's an order. What did the order say? The court said no. And the Supreme Court, by the way, also said, look, you guys have to listen to what the lower courts say before it gets to us. Listen to what they say. Then you don't have these issues. Because let's be real, they're frustrating. They're ridiculous. We should be able to get rid of people that are here illegally, send them on their merry way, especially the worst first. It's that simple. I go back to do it right and you don't have these issues. And I don't blame this all on Trump. I mean, you've got a lot of people, let's be real, you got a lot of people that are go-getters. They want to impress Trump, got to impress him. So he can send a bunch of people, but then this causes headaches that shouldn't happen. Jeffrey Tobin was asked if they think he's ever coming back.
What do you think the Supreme Court thinks about all this? What do you think the Chief Justice thinks when he sees this man not being returned?
I think they're very, very cautious, and they don't want a confrontation with the president. That's why the language is so cautious. But I think they want him returned.
Well, but I also think they do not want an international confrontation that they cause, and they will be very deferential. If El Salvador says we are simply not turning him over, I bet this Supreme Court will say, well, there's nothing that can be done in that case.
You don't think this man is coming back?
I don't think he's coming back, basically,
I'm still
ever.
hopeful.
You're still hopeful. Well, he's not. Who is that? Somebody this week said they're going to go there tomorrow if he's not on his way back. I think it was a senator or something. Good luck. Have fun.